These fans do look familiar, don't they? Now, if you remember the build that I did with the BeQuiet Dark Base Pro 901 White, we have the fans that I used actually inside that case. And right here we have the ones that I used on Pure Loop 2 360. These are Silent Wings Pro 4 120 millimeters, and you have these ones in 140 as well. On the other side, we have the fans that are already pre-installed inside that case. On front and on the rear you have, well, 2 on front and 1 at the rear, 140 Silent Wings 4. But that's not all, because they all come in black version as well, so you don't have to worry about that. If you go with a black case, black AIO and everything else, you can combine that properly. But these fans, you have them in 2 versions. One are 120 PWM high speed white, and you have 120 PWM white, and of course 140 version as well. So we have 2 varieties of fans, and there are some differences, of course. Now, the Pro version has something interesting that I covered back then when it was a black version. We have a switch at the back, which comes in quite handy if you, depending on the appliance, depending where you're going to use it. So you have medium speed, you have high speed, and you have ultra high speed with just a click at the back. Of course, unfortunately, that's the only problem when we're talking about the switch at the back. You can only switch it once, unless you decide to take it from the case, take it from the radiator, and remove the switch. But basically what you do with the switch is you first have to realize what are you going to use the fan for. Is it just going to be for exhaust, intake, radiator, throughput, or whatever? Then you can adjust the switch at the back. That's it. That's basically all that you have to think of when we're talking about the switch. Now, the cool thing, and these fans here, the Silent Wings 4, Silent Wings Pro 4 also have the same feature. So you have 2 clips right here at the top side, well, on each corner basically. And when you press them, you release some sort of levers here, and you get access to the, well, this is a corner, and this one specifically is type A. If we go and check what's inside the box, you have loads of options, basically more than Silent Wings 4. You get 2 sets of corners. So you get, one is, let's see, what's the actual name? It doesn't say right here. But this one is for the regular screws, for the regular threads to use. And the other ones are, here we go. So the other ones can be used with this, let's sort of call them rubber pins. You push them through, and basically what these do is prevent the fans from additional vibration. And this kind of lowers the, let's put it this way, a decibel noise and everything else. Now, the Pro version has optimized fan blades, and this is really good for high performance on radiators and heat sinks. You have the speed switch, which I already said, and the ultra high speed goes up to 3000 RPMs. In regular speeds, what we could notice in that video is that it's virtually inaudible operation, which is outstanding. It has 6-pole fan motor and fluid dynamic bearing for less vibration. And when we're talking about the 3 different mounting options, so the pre-installed radiator corners are specifically designed for radiators where the performance is at high importance to push enough air through the fins, of course. Now, on the other hand, we have for the chassis use, the anti-vibration mounting. As I already mentioned, you have these rubber pins that you push out through these smaller holes to lower down the vibrations from the fans. And the final plastic mounting, which you use the regular screws that you use for all fans on case mounting. They are just here to round up the scope. Honestly, if I was building a new PC dedicated for me that would go with Silent Wings Pro 4, I would definitely use these corners because they look way better. Personal preference, of course, I'm not going to go into that details. Use the ultra high speed switch, and what you could do is PWM connected to your BIOS and adjust the fan curve. So in those scenarios where you actually go to that high 3000 RPM speed, you just set the fan curve to that point, and when you're basically using it in inaudible operation like medium speed, you just set that fan curve over there in BIOS and then just slightly push it up towards 3000 RPMs when you actually need it. The really impressive part is that mean time before failure is up to 300,000 hours. Now for some specs which you really do need to know, basically, when we're talking about fan speed at 100% PWM, 12 volts, we're running at 3000 RPMs. Noise level at 100%, when we're talking about this, 36.9 decibels. Airflow at 100% PWM, 83.9 CFM. And the air pressure, again, 100%. 5.31 millimeters H2O. So what you get with Silentwings Pro 4 is variety of usage, and in those terms I'm talking about the switch at the back giving you a possibility to adjust it to your liking and actually limit the fan speed so it doesn't actually crank up by itself and goes up to 3000 if you want to have a silent operation. But now let's go to the Silentwings 4, and now these are a bit, well, different. First of all, and most importantly, they are PWM of course, but they don't have a switch at the back. This right here is 140mm version, this is 120. Inside the box, well, basically what you could notice immediately is that you have the same angle, almost the same angle, let's put it this way, same corner right here, which you can use the original threads, original screws that you use for all fans, right? And then you have these corners right here, which basically are originally placed inside the box when you open it. These are for the dampening, and what I stated earlier, you have these rubber pins to protect it from additional unnecessary vibration when the fan is actually spinning, which is good, and basically gives two different fans because they are completely different. First and foremost, the blades are completely different, but we're talking here about 140 and 120. Then you have the same configuration where we're talking about this corners, except for the Pro version having the edges a bit differently when we're talking about radiator mounting. And finally, well, basically the cable connection is a bit different because the Pro version has it done a bit neater, let's put it that way as well. So when we're talking about 140 version, what we get is fan speed at 1100 RPMs, noise level is 13.6 decibels, airflow is 51.3 CFM, and air pressure is 0.92 millimeters H2O. Lifespan, same thing as the Pro version, 300,000 hours, which is definitely impressive. And when we go with 120 version, now this is high speed one, we go up to 2500 RPMs, 31.2 decibels at maximum speed of course, 76.7 CFM for the airflow, air pressure is 3.96 millimeters H2O, and again we have quite impressive lifespan, 300,000 hours. And when we're talking about the high speed to the regular Silentwings 4, we are talking about the fans that one of those high speed can go with radiator, are perfect for radiator mounting and heatsinks, while these are mostly the regular Silentwings 4 are designed for chassis mounting and heatsinks. 6-pole fan motor and fluid dynamic bearing. Mostly this was some sort of a roundup of fans that they have, and you already seen the video when we're talking about these fans in black version. And since I really wanted to touch base a bit and show you that you can combine even with white version, and if you're going with non-RGB ones, this is a perfect combination for that. Unfortunately, well, not unfortunately, but I guess their next step is to create a pure loop to white so they can actually match everything completely with the chassis, with the fans. Well, the power supply is always hidden inside the power supply shroud, so it's not visible. They can keep that in black, it doesn't really matter. But when we're talking about combination of the fans and what you could do and what you could combine, as I said, the Pro version has that switch at the back, which is quite interesting to adjust it depending where you're going to use it, of course. Then you can also set the curve in bias because it has a PWM connection, and you can change and swap up to 3 corners depending is it going to be placed on a chassis, heatsink or a radiator. It's all up to you, of course. Now, the decibel noise here on the 3000 RPM speed is quite high, and I do have to say, which is quite logical, let's be honest. But the performance is outstanding, and it really does push enough air through the radiators and heatsinks, giving you some option in terms of choosing your next fans for your white PC build, without RGB, of course. And then we have the, I would say maybe even a cheaper version, which is Silent Wings 4 120, 140 regular version and high speed, where you actually have a regular version going at 1600 RPMs when we're talking about 120 and 2500 RPMs when we're talking about high speed. The 141 is running much lower when we're talking about speed, but it's still pushing enough air, and the decibel range on these ones is quite outstanding. I mean, they don't have the name BeQuiet for nothing, so believe me, these are outstanding when we're talking about decibel range as well. Plus, the life expectancy is outstanding, and that's really something to tick on the box while choosing the fans as well. In those terms, since this was an overview basically and not an actual review, just to give you more idea what fans do they actually have, you can check out the links in the description below regarding all the combinations in white, because I already covered the black version, and you can pick up whatever you find suitable for you, because after all, even with this performance and even with these options, the prices are outstanding, so you can combine whatever you wish. Guys, thanks for watching. We're waiting for the Pure Loop 2 White to come eventually, whenever they decide to do that, because that would be a logical next step to pair it up with all the white stuff that they have. And yeah, quite cool, quite cool. All in all, quite cool. So finally, don't forget to subscribe, hit the like button, click the notification bell, check the links in the description for all of these fans, and see you next time. Bye bye.